from Dante Boxing Nation.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So Manny Pacquiao, he goes from being perceived as the most humble, God-fearing boxer, at least one of them ever. But as soon as he loses, he becomes one of the biggest sore losers of all times. Now, before I go deeper into the story, for the fans to say racism doesn't exist at all, etc., 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 at least when it comes to boxing. If that's the case, then I should see you guys filling up the comment section going in on Manny Pacquiao for making excuses. Because isn't this exactly what you guys did when it came to Deontay Wilder? Do you guys know how many comments I've seen on the internet where people were saying, this is the reason why we don't like him, is because he's making excuses for losing. He doesn't know how to take a loss. That's all he does is make excuses. These fans were trying to justify why they personally did not like Deontay Wilder. And the most ironic thing is when it comes to Deontay Wilder, we have actually seen Tyson Fury's right gloves. We've seen images of them. We know that that glove had been tampered with. We got sparring partners showing proof that Tyson Fury was even tampering with his gloves when he was sparring against his own teammates. We know that this man has already been caught cheating before when he tested positive for PEDs. We know that Tyson Fury has tried to bribe people to lie for him because he got caught testing positive for PEDs. And these fans, they still stood by Tyson Fury's side and said, Wilder is just full of excuses. Since racism doesn't exist, we're gonna see the same type of comments in my comment section about Manny Pacquiao, right? For the excuses that he's making for why he lost to Ugas. So Manny Pacquiao loses in a unanimous decision to Dennis Ugas, and he says it was the easiest fight of his career. Man, if that was his easiest fight, I would love to know who he would say was his hardest fight. So Manny, you're telling me this fight was easier than the Lucas Matisse fight? Easier than the Chris Algieri fight? The Brandon Rios fight? The Ricky Hatton fight? Maybe Manny Pacquiao is a little confused on what the actual definition of easy is. Because if this was his easiest fight, he wouldn't have needed legs. He wouldn't have needed great foot movement, etc., right? I mean, after Muhammad Ali took 3 years off of boxing, he no longer had his legs. And a lot of Ali's biggest wins came when his legs were shot. When you are a special fighter, you adjust. Floyd Mayweather was fighting Carlos Hernandez, a fighter that was so good that after he lost to Floyd, he regained the title and he defended his title for years. So when Floyd Mayweather fought him, Floyd broke his hand in like the first couple rounds. The entire fight, Floyd fought this man with one hand, literally one hand, guys. You can go back and watch it. Floyd would even switch back and forth from righty to lefty because he was only using that one hand. And he won every single round. You know what that's called, guys? That's called dealing with adversity and adjusting. Do you guys know what Manny Pacquiao said immediately following the loss before he started making excuses? Check it out.
Most definitely. In terms of the jab, that was a weapon that he used. Were you having a hard time finding your timing against it?
I know I'm making a hard time in the ring, making adjustment about his style, and I think that's the problem to me because I didn't make an adjustment right away, and also my legs tight.
There it is. Manny Pacquiao admitted he could not make the proper adjustments to Ugas' style, right? You see, Manny, he made the mistake of telling the truth first before he started to make the excuses. This is one of the things that makes the sport of boxing so unique. If you're tired or injured, you can't be replaced by a sub to play for you. You have to make the adjustments, something that Manny Pacquiao could not do. Now, what else is ironic, and this one right here is extremely ironic. You hear Manny Pacquiao often trying to diss Floyd Mayweather. Remember, he was telling Errol Spence, maybe you could teach Floyd Mayweather how to stand and fight and not run. Since he talked about Floyd Mayweather quote unquote running or even holding, I decided to put together some clips of Manny Pacquiao doing the exact same thing, just to show you guys the hypocrisy that exists in Manny Pacquiao. Check this out. These clips right here just goes to show you the majority of boxers will move, will even tie up in the ring, depending on what type of opponent they're fighting against. And as you can see in this fight, where Manny is fighting against Brandon Rios, he's fighting against a very aggressive, one-dimensional come-forward fighter, and this is the way Manny Pacquiao fights him. And then he has the nerve to say, maybe Errol Spence, you can teach Floyd Mayweather how to stand and fight, right? Boy, oh boy, the hypocrisy. So guys, in essence, Manny Pacquiao just dissed Ugas, a man that has been extremely respectful to Manny Pacquiao since this fight got made, before and after the fight. Had nothing but kind words to say about Manny Pacquiao, even after Manny Pacquiao insulted this man by saying that he was the easiest fight that he's ever had in his entire career. And Ugas still showed respect to this man after Pacquiao said that. Guys, this is how we would have expected Pacquiao to react to a loss. But now we learn this is not who Manny Pacquiao is, but it's definitely who Ugas is. So in this clip I'm playing, or in these clips that I'm playing for you guys right now, you guys notice all Manny Pacquiao is doing is moving and holding, moving and holding. The entire fight, moving and holding, right? Manny Pacquiao used the excuse that his legs were tired or his legs were tight. He couldn't really move his legs that much, he said. And then later on, he said he had a leg cramp. Then he said the next day, he's going to beat this man. He wants to fight him in a rematch because then he's going to be able to use his legs. Meaning he's going to quote unquote do exactly what he said he didn't want Floyd Mayweather to do. Is quote unquote run. But moving in the ring is not going to solve Manny Pacquiao's problems. Now, if he was fighting against another Brandon Rios, a Ricky Hatton, or a Margarito, people who just charge after you like a bull, then that footwork would be effective. But when you're fighting someone who's technical and methodical, and quite frankly, a better boxer than Manny Pacquiao himself, they're going to be able to adjust to all that moving. Just like Teofimo Lopez did when he fought Lomachenko. Lomachenko was just like a Manny Pacquiao, known for his foot movement, his angles, confusing people with his angles, right? Those angles were not effective. And remember, Lomachenko used a lot of foot movement in that fight and lost the first 6 rounds. And it's so funny because we know what time it is. Matter of fact, let me play the audio of what one of the commentators was saying when Manny Pacquiao was doing all this moving and holding in the fight. This is what the lady said as she's calling this fight. Check it out.
Ducking and moving all over the place. Beautiful.
Did you guys hear what she said? She said he's ducking and moving all over the place. It's beautiful. You see, when Manny Pacquiao, when Lomachenko, when anyone else who's not black is moving in the ring, it's called beautiful. It's called boxing. It's called using angles. But when Floyd Mayweather is moving, even if it's just a little bit of movement, what do they call it, guys? That's right, they call it running. And the funniest thing is, even when Floyd Mayweather is standing right in front of his opponent, these fans will still say, all he does is run. Because these are really just cold words for what they really want to call Floyd Mayweather. At the end of the day, we know what time it is. Your Dennis Ugas, he has the height and he has the reach advantage. So you're going to be doing Ugas a favor if you're going to be moving away from him, because that means he's going to be able to touch you from a distance. Even though Ugas, he can fight on the inside, he showed in the Manny Pacquiao fight that his bread and butter was his 1-2, his jab And it's right. If you guys go back and watch the fight, you'll notice Manny Pacquiao, he was using his typical angles that usually frustrates a lot of his opponents. You know, when he throws that lead left hand and then he dips over to the right, or when he launches his ambush attack by throwing a barrage of machine gun type of combinations. He did all of these things in this fight. They just were not effective against Ugas. You know, it's really sad because Manny Pacquiao is 42 years old. So he really didn't have to make any excuses for why he lost. He could have just said, look, he was the better man and left it at that. People already know his age and he could have just retired. But he makes things worse by making excuses that don't even add up. Once again, guys, by way of contrast, when it comes to Deontay Wilder, when it comes to Glovegate, there are tons of receipts. Tons of receipts. But this is not just a one-off when it comes to Manny Pacquiao. Manny does this every time he loses. Once again, he did the same thing against Floyd Mayweather, and that's why Floyd never gave him a rematch. Because Floyd, right after the fight, he was already talking about making that money, making even more money. You think Floyd Mayweather was going to turn down another $100+ million to fight someone that he knew he could beat again? He was looking forward to it until Manny Pacquiao started making excuses why he lost. Excuses that never even added up. Manny Pacquiao said he had a shoulder injury. He said he was injured before the fight. Then once fans threatened to sue Manny Pacquiao, because, you know, fans are like, well, man, if you knew you were injured, why did you have us pay for tickets? You got me betting on the fight, wasted money? People threatened to sue Manny Pacquiao. And you know what Manny did in response? He changed the excuse and said, well, actually, the injury happened in the third round, right? And to make the lie even worse, Manny Pacquiao said it was a rotator cuff injury. The worst shoulder injury that you could have. That means you can't even lift your shoulder. So days after the fight, there were reports that Manny Pacquiao, he was going to undergo surgery. Even Bob Arum came out and said he needs to get surgery done. He should be getting surgery done really soon. Do you guys know Manny Pacquiao came out and admitted to the public he never even saw a doctor, and he said salt water healed his shoulder. And the only reason he even talked about the salt water is because he got caught scuba diving. So he had to explain why he was scuba diving when he was supposed to be having surgery on his shoulder. Let me quote. I'm gonna show you guys a quote right now. Manny said, "No problem, I'm fine. It's God's work. I never saw a doctor. I never did rehab. All I did was swim in the sea as often as I could. The salt water healed my wound." You know, in one of my last videos when I was talking about Manny Pacquiao's shoulder injury and how it was a fake shoulder injury, I had a lot of fans trying to defend Manny Pacquiao, and they start saying, what are you talking about? He really did have surgery. And the funny thing is, in that video, at least that video in particular, I never said Manny Pacquiao didn't have surgery. But the fans start jumping all over that. And here it is, Manny Pacquiao telling you guys that he never had surgery. So how do you explain that for the ones who did say he did have surgery? So we know you can't take nothing Manny Pacquiao says serious when he talks about these injuries that he has. Speaking of keeping the same energy when it comes to Deontay Wilder, obviously it makes me think about Errol Spence. You guys need to keep the same energy when it comes to Errol Spence as well and Manny Pacquiao. I've seen a lot of people sending me messages saying things like, oh yeah, so he has an eye patch, but I want to see x-rays. How do we have proof? And this and that and all this kind of stuff, right? So now that I am showing you guys proof that Manny Pacquiao, he's admitting out of his own mouth after he claimed he lost the Floyd fight because he had a shoulder injury. Matter of fact, let's not even call it a shoulder injury. Let's call it what he said it was, a torn rotator cuff. The worst shoulder injury you can have. So by way of contrast, Errol Spence finds out that he has a retina tear. He's told by the doctors he needs to have surgery immediately. And that's exactly what Errol Spence does. The day the news was reported that he had the injury, within 24 hours, Errol was getting the surgery done. Reports that Manny Pacquiao, he tore his rotator cuff. Reports came out that he needed to get surgery immediately. Bob Arum said he needed to get surgery immediately. Manny Pacquiao comes out, tells the public, I never got surgery. In fact, God's salt water healed my injury. Now I'm 100%. So now, once again, if you guys didn't believe Errol Spence, I should see you guys all up in the comment section drilling this man right here, Manny Pacquiao. Oh, and one more thing before I end this video. Since Manny Pacquiao said that his legs were tight and they were cramping, etc., how come he didn't have Freddie Roach rub some of that God salt water on his legs during the fight? I mean, hell, if it could heal a rotator cuff, a cramp in your legs ain't nothing. I mean, right? That's all I got for now, guys. I'm gonna leave you with this clip.
He's beating him up. He had a free hand. The referee was absolutely right. Manny Pacquiao was looking at him to say, I want you to stop this. And with a free hand, the referee's not supposed to stop it. So Rios was banging him in the ribs.
All right, now check this out, guys. If you're looking to repair eczema scars, burns and bruises, dark spots and blemishes, then this right here is the perfect product for you guys. It's called LO Key Face and Body Oil. Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to lodekey.com, like them on Facebook, and follow them on Instagram.
Get ready to take your striking game to the next level with the Focus Ball. Dramatically improve footwork, timing, head movement, hand-eye coordination, reflex, and overall fight IQ. It's lightweight and extremely portable, so you can train every time, everywhere. When you don't have a coach to do mitt work, get a Focus Ball. When you don't have a heavy bag to hit, get a Focus Ball. When you don't have a sparring partner, get yourself a Focus Ball. And when you just want to have fun punching and kicking, get a Focus Ball. When you train with the Focus Ball, you train your eyes and your brain to read punches so that you can hit and not get hit, making this very simple device a must-have for all combat sports athletes and enthusiasts alike. So if you want to take your striking game to the next level, don't wait. Get the Focus Ball now.
Fellas, I've got some great news for you. If you've lost your hair or have a receding hairline, the time has come when you can finally get your hairline back through a process called scalp micropigmentation. So here's how it works. It's a hair tattoo that replicates the look of your hair follicles when you have fully shaved it down. So to get this hookup, make sure you follow and contact my man Scalp Carolinas on Instagram. Contact them at 704-499-3471 and make sure you follow them on Instagram.